All right, welcome in to another episode of the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Team Previews. I am Jason. You can find me at Twitter at JRBex. I am joined by JP, and you can find him on Twitter at DabScout. First of all, before we get started, I want to let you know if you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. We got great fantasy content all year long. Also, if you haven't already done so, head on over to fantasy6pack.net. Got a ton of great content over there, including right now we got becoming an all-access member. So if you go to Fantasy Six Pack, you're going to get great access to our award-winning rankings, draft sheets, Discord, and more. You can go to fantasy6pack.net/plans and go ahead and use promo code F6PMLB. You'll get an additional 15% off. And hey, I'm excited because today we're talking about the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Team Preview for my Chicago Cubs. I'm just kidding. But my homer team, Chicago Cubs.
You're not kidding.
I'm not kidding. They're my Chicago Cubs. All right, let's go ahead and get a look at that lineup then. It's going to be a bit of an overhaul from what you've seen last year. So leading off, we got Nico Hoerner, followed by everyone's heartthrob, Dansby Swanson. Batting third is Ian Happ. Batting fourth is Seiya Suzuki, followed by Eric Hosmer. Batting sixth, we have Trey Mancini. Batting seventh is Cody Bellinger. Batting eighth is Christopher Morel. And then rounding that out, batting ninth is the new Tucker Barnhart. I think, like I said, this is a whole new lineup that we saw compared to last year. I think there's only like 3 returning pieces. Obviously, some big acquisitions here with Dansby Swanson, Trey Mancini, Cody Bellinger. Of the new pieces, though, who are you most excited about?
Yikes. I mean, there's everybody. I mean, that's the thing. You're looking at this and you're just like, wow, this is not what I remember when you looked at it previously, right? I mean, Dansby Swanson. I mean, you look at the roster and you look at how they were acquired and just so many like free agent. This is where the Cubs are being picked as the dark horse. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit, but I'm excited about a lot of this. I mean, Ian Happ, what are we going to get here, right? Are we going to get the bat that can actually, make contact with the ball, or are we going to, just get this power hitter with nothing behind it? Suzuki, that's going to be the big question mark. I'm excited to see what he has to do. But when you have these guys like Trey Mancini, how can you not root for the guy? Is he going to be bouncing back, and what's he going to do at a stadium like Wrigley Field? The one thing that we need to talk about here is Hosmer and Bellinger, right? 2 left-handed hitters who do an amazing job of pulling the ball and hit, also just putting where they need to. Wrigley Field is a great home run park for left-handed bats. And especially if it's summer and it gets hot and they can get that wind going, that could really boost that potential on that Bellinger and Hosmer bats. I really love the idea of them playing in Wrigley, especially, of course, having so many home games there. And I will be betting and getting that discount for Bellinger and Hosmer where I can, because they could really enjoy hitting in those friendly confines.
Yeah, I think one of the, it's not the newest acquisition, but the ones I'm most excited about would be the Seiya Suzuki. Last year, there was a lot of question marks. Was his game going to translate from the NPB over to the MLB? I think he proved that he can do that. We saw the slugging is there, the power is there, and hey, even sprinkled in some stolen bases too. So I think, if he can stay healthy, which I think a lot of times when these guys, transition over to the MLB, we see a lot of that the injuries become a little bit more predominant. I'm not sure exactly what the reason. I'm not a doctor, but I think we see like a lot of those guys that come over, the injuries kind of hit them a little bit harder. But to me, Seiya Suzuki, I think, is someone that I would be targeting. Obviously, Ian Happ, the Gold Glove, left fielder. He's had a little bit of a breakout in 2022. Can he repeat that for 2023? That's remains to be seen. And then I think one of the bigger names that's being left off this lineup right now, and that's because of all the acquisitions, is Matt Mervis, right? That was everyone's, breakout or, sleeper coming into the season this year for the Cubs was, Matt mashing Mervis after that dominant AFL last year in 2022. But I think the Cubs, I don't think believe in them as much as maybe the fantasy community does. Obviously, they wouldn't have gone out and signed Hosmer, and then they still have Patrick Wisdom to platoon with at first.
Right.
So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not saying that Matt Mercer isn't going to excel at the major league level. I just think we should hamper some expectations from him, and I don't think he'll be on the opening day roster. Do you have any thoughts on outlook for Matt Mervis?
My outlook is they're going to probably move Matt Mervis. I mean, you have so many first basemen that you're looking at here, right? Mancini can also play first, right? Bellinger can also play first. So I almost feel like they have that there so that he doesn't have, Matt Mervis doesn't have so much pressure on him that he has to be the slugging first baseman or he has to, perform right away. You have a lot of vets there, and he can, play to kind of unseat them there. And I think this is a great environment to do so versus some of these other times. You put somebody in there, and Nico Horner could tell you about this, and Ian Happ could tell you about this. Where you have to perform because you have such a big spotlight. You're at, the Chicago Cubs, and the fan base loves you, and they want you to perform. And now he's working in a lineup where he has a lot of vets, and he can learn from them. One person that I love, and I am president of his fan club because I'm in an OBP leagues, Patrick Wisdom. I know you briefly hit on him, and yes, he
Hmm.
probably won't get as many at bats, but people do get hurt. But Patrick Wisdom in an OBP league, stay away from him if you're in an average league. He is a beast. With power numbers that come out, you're going to get 20, 25 home runs and great on base percentage because he walks all the time. Definitely, I still love Patrick Wisdom, especially with some of these older vets that are going to be there and probably get hurt or need a breather. Patrick Wisdom, I definitely see getting some time, 95 plus games.
Yeah, and then just one more small call out here too. We got Christopher Morel at third base, right? We saw him kind of break onto the scene last year, but now with the departure of Wilson Contreras, who was basically his mentor,
Mhm.
um, I'm not sure what to expect from him this year. I don't know if that departure is going to affect him at all. Like I said, we did see some flashes. I want to see some consistency out of Morel. I think
Right.
he's a kind of an exciting player. He brings a lot to the table. He brings that energy to the lineup. So I think Morel, it could be worth a late flyer, but I would like to see what he does, without that mentor, on the bench or helping him out along the way. But
If he
let's
can,
head and jump.
before
Go
you do
ahead.
that, though, if he can cut down on those strikeouts,
Yeah.
Morel, I was really rooting for the kid. I mean, he had some streaks where he was just you could not put him on your bench in fantasy, right? Morel would just be amazing, but then he would just start striking out and have those 0 for 4 games, and you were
Hmm.
just like, you just wanted him to just make contact with that ball. If he can make that change, yeah, absolutely, Morel is definitely one of those guys you want to keep an eye on.
Yep. Let's go ahead and jump over to the starting rotation here. We got the Marcus Stroman at the one spot, newly acquired Jameson Tyone. In the three spot, we got Justin Steele, Drew Smiley, and then right now the fifth spot is for Keegan Thompson. One name that we don't see here right now is Kyle Hendricks, and that's because he's not going to be ready for the opening day roster. I'm still recovering from the injury. So obviously that back half of this rotation is a little suspect. I think that newly acquired from last year, Hayden Wesneski. I think we saw him come up and get a small cup last year in September. I think he has a really good shot at starting this team with the team on opening day. He's someone that I would be targeting for a late round starting pitching flyer. And then we saw Justin Steele, right? We came on. He's kind of proven that he belongs. He's everyone's new, sleeper this year too as well. Um, but of these, yeah, we'll call him four because I don't, Keegan Thompson's not longed for this rotation. But um, who is most intriguing to you?
Okay, so let me just break down a couple little issues here because there's a couple guys here that have been thorns in my side. Stroman, I love Stroman. Don't get me wrong; he's fun to watch, but people keep overdrafting him, thinking he's a strikeout pitcher, and he's not that
Mhm.
guy.
Right.
And you just need to be careful about that. You're going to get a sub 4 ERA, but you're not going to get the strikeouts. With Jameson, I mean, the question is just again going to be: Is he going to be on? Is he going to be on the mound? And if he is, you have a potential for an ace there, but you want to play that game. Uh, the guy who I'm really kind of interested in is Smiley because his second half or second half ish last year was tremendous. And nobody's kind of drafting him as even a top 100 starting pitcher, at least from what I've seen initially on his ADP. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. Uh, so if I can get a guy who is going to be in the starting rotation uh, for a Cubs team that everybody's kind of picking for that dark horse here in the Central, if you listen to the MLB.com, if you listen to anybody, they're looking at Cubs are going to push for a team that's going to win as much as they might, right? If they even improve by 10 wins, I really would love a Drew Smiley there. Again, somebody who can maybe give me, if he can build on that second half and give me a sub 3.25 ERA, I love that pick. And so I'm definitely going to be picking up on Drew Smiley.
Yeah, good call outs. Let's go ahead and jump over to the bullpen here now. And I think this is actually where we see the Cubs' Achilles heel show itself. So we got the closer right now is Brandon Hughes. Setup man is Brad Boxberger. On another setup man, we have Adbert Azalea. Some mid-rotation guys or bullpen guys is Rowan Wick, Julian Merriweather, Michael Rucker, Ryan Boracchi, and Adrian Sampson. When I look at this bullpen, I mean, there's nobody. Nobody I'm drafting in this bullpen. Even when you look at the closer, Brandon Hughes, he got a little bit of the closer role last year. He did have 8 saves, but also had 4 blown saves. So it's not like he's some bona fide closer. They brought in Brad Boxberg, and I would venture to say that at some point in the season, he eventually takes over that closer role. But other than that, I don't see anyone worth drafting in this lineup. What do you think?
Well, first off, you're the Cubs. I'm sorry, this is your team. I shouldn't
Yeah,
say
that's right.
the Cubs, right? It's your team. So I will never disagree with you on your team. But yeah, I'm not touching this. I'm not touching this bullpen at all. So yes, they're going to win. And I hope, like I said, they're going to 9, 10, 11 win improvement for sure. But I have no idea where that's going to come from in the sense of closing these things out, doing setups. And yes, with Wick and Boxberger and Merriweather, you have pitchers that have beyond Hughes, of course. You have pitchers that have played that bullpen role as well. But do I trust any of these people? No, absolutely not. If this is going to be one of those situations where I know I'm going to end up having to pick up one of these guys on the free agent wire because one of my guys gets hurt and I'm just not going to be happy with it. But baseball's weird. One of these guys could go on a streak. Who knows? But I will try to avoid this at all costs.
Yeah, just another little tidbit. They have like 100 different non-roster invites out to relief pitchers. So even the Cubs don't know what the bullpen's going to look like. So that about wraps up what.
You're saying they trust themselves.
Exactly,
okay.
exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Don't look to the Cubs bullpen for your saved opportunities.
Got it.
But that's going to wrap up the Chicago Cubs fantasy baseball team preview. And until next time.